And here we are again. We're doing more reviews. This time it's on a KTM. So we borrowed these bikes from JD Racing in Saltash. They very kindly called us and said, would you like to take the bikes out for a ride? So we're not going to turn an opportunity like that down. It's the first time I've actually ridden a KTM, which I'm quite pleased about, because when I was doing bike porn recently, before I started buying my spree of 4 GS Adventures, I looked at KTMs and I narrowed it down in the end to the fact that KTMs have a chain and I couldn't be bothered cleaning chains, so that's why I went for a shaft drive. You might think I'm a bit simple like that, but you know, I'm essentially a lazy person. But I've always liked KTMs. I love the 990 Adventures. They just have that look about them that says, you know, I'm an off-road bike riding me really hard, but they are fantastic on the road. And we'll see what this one does. It feels really, really light. I'm not sure the weights and that, but we'll have them when we put the film up, and we'll let you know. They sound very, very throaty whenever you hear a KTM. Have a nice sound to them and always look very meaningful and purposeful. I like them a lot. First impression to this though, it's runs a bit harsh. I think it feels a bit harsh. The seat is quite firmer than I'm used to with other bikes we've ridden. It's not that bad. I'm not sure what it would be like on a long journey, but my initial impression is it's quite narrow. I'm not saying I've got a fat backside, might have, but it is quite hard. I'm not sure if it can be adjusted yet, but it's just, I've picked it up and driven it away from the garage, and this is how it is. So we'll stop and have a chat about them. We'll look in more detail, but it feels very, very light, easy to point, responsive steering. Counter steering is very easy on it. It's got a basic dashboard we've got in front of us. Apparently it's telling me what my favourites are. On the left hand side of the dash, and the driving mode it's set in at the moment is street. You can have street, rain or enduro, I believe. It's not telling me what the free fuel range is, which is a bit worrying, although there is a fuel gauge on the right hand side of the screen. I'm talking about the left hand side first. Tell me what the air temperature is, and the odometer said this bike has only done 9 miles, so it's a brand spanker. Then in the middle you've got a big standard rev counter. It goes up to 12,000. There's actually no red line on this, which is a bit worrying, so it's a bit unusual. And on the right hand side you've got a big square digital screen that tells you what gear you're in, tells you your speed digitally, which I do like. I mean, I'm all for having proper speedos and everything, but it's nice to have a digital one. It's easy to read. If you have advancing years like some of us are, the big numbers like that are so much easier to see. Yeah, on that it tells you what ride mode you're in again. There's a clock, tells you it's the time, obviously. There's a temperature gauge, and there's a fuel gauge as well. Nice big wing mirrors, or door mirrors, or whatever you want to call them, handlebar mirrors. Bigger than a lot of bikes I've been on. Easily adjustable, or maybe it's broken. A nice shape. Seems to me that KTM think about their bikes a bit, think about what's required as a rider, and then kind of implement it. The screen is a bit small, can be adjusted. If you can see at the moment, it's on its highest level. There is a bit of buffeting from it, but you know, we're riding a motorbike, you're out in the wind, so if you get a bit of buffeting, you have to expect that. I'm not that fussed about it myself, but some people worry unnecessarily. I ride with a K-Berg Tour Max helmet, flip-top helmet that's got a peak on it. And when I was buying it, people were saying, oh, you know, it'll be, you'll get the wind underneath the visor and it'll rip your head off and all this lot. Well, to be honest, I've never had that, and this bike isn't exacerbating that issue at all. It's even when I was doing 60 miles an hour there, it was not picking up any of the wind. But you know what, for a basic bike, it is pretty good. On the left handlebar, you've got like a little, you've got a standard flashing headlight thing, switch, main beam. You've got the indicators, our standard Japanese version, and you've got what looks like 4 buttons, thumb buttons to press, and they are what decide what riding mode you're in, your favourites and all the rest of it. So okay, just come on to an open national speed limit there and just boost it up to 60. It is very quick, very quick. I'm doing 55 miles an hour in 5th gear, up into 6th. Doesn't like that very much. You can feel there's quite a bit of vibration coming through the bike there. Obviously doesn't like 50 mile an hour at that speed. So if I drop it back down to 5th, much smoother. Actually, if I'm down in 4th gear like I am now, I'm doing 4,000 RPM, and that probably puts it inside the proper its power band where it's being most efficient. People tend to go up in their on their motorbikes just like they drive a car. They go as high as they can in the gearboxes, and you know, the bikes struggle sometimes, and you haven't got full control of the bike. Okay, 60 miles an hour up into 6th. It's doing 4,000 RPM. It seems to like that better than doing 50. Much better. So obviously 6th is more your motorway gear. So I'm now doing 50 miles an hour in 5th, and it's doing about 4,000 RPM. I think probably 4th gear is the best gear for that. As soon as you drop it down to 4th, 50 miles an hour, 4,500 RPM, feels very comfortable for the bike. So obviously the 2 higher gears, 5 and 6, are for sort of over 50 miles an hour motorway dual carriageways, things like that, which is probably where they'll sit better. I suppose the way to describe this at the moment is a bit chattery. I don't know, it's a little 2-stroke 2-cylinder engine. I mean, it's a big old powerful bus, but it does feel a little bit chattery when you're going down just idling. Very throaty it sounds when you accelerate down in the low gears. When you hear ride reviews, people talk about you know, it does 0 to 50 and 0 to 60 in so many seconds, and it's this torque, that torque. You know, you can feel it when you go around the bends and all that lot. I think our reviews, we need to be realistic about how people ride their bikes. Not many people ride them like GP riders, and I think we need to just explain to it how we feel. Explain the bike how we see it as a you know, an everyday bike. You know, people go shopping on their bikes. You know, not everyone's riding around the track all the time trying to get the knee down. So this bike hasn't got any panniers on it, but you can get the KTM luggage system, which I don't really know a lot about, I'll be honest. But, it looks big. It looks like it will do the job. I was on a tour last year to down to Dubrovnik from the UK, and there was a couple of had a 1290 bike, and they were 2s up, pillion on it with all their kit, seemed to cope really well. So obviously the luggage system is big enough for 2 people to travel in comfort, and we were away for about 15-16 days, I think. I do actually like it. I just dropped down into 2nd, doing 30 miles an hour to the outskirts of Gunners Lake now, and the revs have gone up to 4,000 RPM, which you would imagine. It doesn't actually like being in 2nd gear at this speed, where a lot of bikes I've ridden, you can actually do it. Like my BMW is quite happy to sit in 2nd at 30 miles an hour. This sounds like he's a bit of a labour for it, so if I just skip up into 3rd, instantly quieter. seems to be enjoying it more. We come out the other side of Gunny's Lake. It's quite a steep hill with a bend at the bottom, so we'll see what the engine braking's like, because I suspect that this is more of a stallion than a donkey, and things like engine braking might not be as prevalent on it as they are on some other bikes. I'm in third gear, just coming up to third toe, just to see what engine braking feels like on it, and it's actually quite minimal really. It almost needs a gear change to actually slow yourself down. Obviously I'm probably quite biased because I ride a boxer, an adventure, and it's the engine braking on those is well renowned for it, but to actually not use your brakes, I've dropped down into second, and it's keeping up with 27 miles an hour. I'm actually being undertaken by a cyclist here, which is really funny. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm being really negative about the bike, because I do like it. It sounds lovely, it sounds absolutely lovely, and you know, it's almost like they've got an aftermarket exhaust on as a standard fit, but it isn't, it's just the KTM exhaust. Always sounds really nice. So I don't know what colour schemes it comes in this bike, but this is in the KTM orange, which is a really nice colour scheme. I love the orange and the blue that KTMs do, and they're doing a lot of bikes that are obviously white now because people like white bikes, I suppose. But I do think the traditional orange and blue that KTM have had for a long, long time are really sexy colours. Okay, so I'm down in the second gear to go around a bend, trying not to use my brakes to slow me down, just seeing if the engine will do it, and it doesn't really like it very much. It's almost like you have to use your brakes. I'm harping on about that now, and I shouldn't be. God, it's quick to pick up then. Really quick to pick up. There we are then, the 1090. I'd really like to say I like it. It's got some good let's say it like this, it's satisfactory with some good aspects. But if I'm honest, I don't really like it that much. It seems to be in the middle of nowhere. It's like a 600 and 800 style bike with a monstrous engine in it. It's very light, it's powerful, but there's some things about it that I just don't get. I just don't like very much, and I don't really want to sound negative about it, but it's okay. So the windscreen is adjustable like this. It's very small. That's it. Yeah. Very flimsy.
So now this bike already, I haven't ridden this bike yet, but
you don't
already,
like it?
I'm not sure that I don't like it feels quite tacky, but I don't know whether that's only because I've just ridden obviously a bike that is almost like their flagship.
This is the basic model of it. I don't know what extra options you can get put on it, but it's very light, and it's a KTM bike, you know, and it does what it says on the tin. It's very fast, it's very capable. Dare I say it sounds a bit feels a bit Ducati-ish because it's a bit rattly. Yeah.
I mean, this is only about 205 kilos. I'm not sure how big the tank is, but it's got about 120, 25 brake horsepower, isn't it?
So that's about the same size as a GS.
Yeah.
The GS Adventure, and you probably can't put the two together because they're completely different bikes. But the GS Adventure is a lot heavier, and it feels really planted on the road. This goes around the corners like it should do.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know, the seat is uncomfortable on it, I find. Maybe because I've got a very sensitive backside, I don't know. It's a single seat, it can't be adjusted, which I thought when I was riding it, I thought it might have been able to be, it was a split seat,
and it's
but
a
it's not.
one-piece, isn't it?
It's a one-piecer.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, look at, you know, just an outsider's point of view, because I've not ridden the bike yet, I guess that I get the feeling that this is more of a hack-about bike, leave out in the rain, not really worry about too much. And, you know, I don't want to do people a disservice that have spent a lot of money on the bike, because it's clearly a good bike, it's clearly a nice bike. KTM don't make really bad bikes.
No, they don't. Yeah, rubber bungs on the pedals, which are really nice if you know, if you ride a lot of adventure bikes that have just got, you see the spiky bits on them there, they very quickly wreck your boots.
Yeah.
So that's a nice fitting.
I like the frame, the detail on the frame. It's just black, just simple, isn't it? It seems a simple bike.
Do you know what I like about KTMs as well? I do like the exhaust they put on them. Chrome exhausts are really nice, but they just
don't have to take some cleaning, don't they?
Oh yeah, you know, and they just die after a while, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, they just look horrible. But these stainless exhausts look really smart, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it is a nice bike, really, I suppose, but it's horses for courses. If you want a bike that's going to be more off-road bias, I think, even though this has got cast wheels on it, then this is probably the one for it. If you go down the back end here again and look at the rear mud flap, they've got the same sort of mud flap that's on mud guard that's on the 1290, which will do the job pretty well, I think. But I still think it's leaving you open to getting rubbish all over the back of your legs and that.
Yeah, it's got all the stuff, isn't it? You can put a rack on there for day-to-day going to work. You can put the proprietary panniers and stuff on there from KTM, which are really good panniers, really big, and it takes out to about 1 metre wide.
Yeah.
Whereas at the moment, probably about half a metre in width. I guess these are, obviously the handlebars are a little bit wider, but the screen really still quite basic, isn't it? For a 2017 model where they've put an amazing amount of tech into the 1290 Super Adventure.
If I just switch it on and you look at the screen, it's got a digital speedo, which I like. Noticeably on the rev counter in the middle there, KTM rev counter, it goes up to 12,000. There's no red line on it.
Oh no!
Bit of a worry.
I think you can set, because I know on the 1190 you can set an indicator that comes up on the display that you can change the red lining, and I think they do that so that when you're servicing the bike or in between, you know, like buying a brand new bike and then having for the first service, you don't want to go over certain revs. So rather than having the red line up here, they allow you to change the red line so that it shows you by a red LED.
Alright. It's a bike for a certain type of person who wants to ride it. I wouldn't buy one. It doesn't tick any boxes for me at all. I rode it, it's nice, it does what it says on the tin. It's a KTM, it's got good build quality to it. I don't know. I want to be positive, but I'm finding it very difficult.
But then that's the great thing about motorbikes, isn't it? Not every bike is going to appeal to everybody. So there's a budget to think of. So you might not have the budget to go for their flagship. You might have the budget to go for this one, but still want a quality bike.
It'll be a nice bike. It will be a nice bike.
But there's also people that don't want the speed and the power of the flagship. That want more speed and more wind protection and more touring ability on something that's just going to let them chug along, but have the power and speed and enjoyment that they want out of it. And there's a bike for everybody, isn't there?
Of course there is.
So I guess through what your experiences are, and you know, from outside, because I haven't ridden it yet, it's a bike that will suit some people, but not the majority of people, because it's not the flagship, is it? It's a well-built bike. If you want a well-built bike, this could be it. A versatile bike that they could do anything that they want to do on it, go to work, do hacking on a Sunday, but perhaps it's not got the tweaks and the accessories and stuff that you would want if you wanted to go a little bit further.
I might be doing the bike a disservice by saying I think people would commute on this.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's got a commuter feel, isn't it?
But it's a KTM. KTMs go off-road, you know, and yes, it would be.
You could commute across a field.
You would go off-road perhaps if you had spoke tyre wheels on it, and it'd be very good for that. But I just don't think the majority of people who would buy this would be doing that with it. Not until it's a few years old anyway.
Yeah. So we better give a shout out to some amazing people that have made these videos possible, and especially this video. JD Racing with Rich and Tracy over at KTM in Saltash. Big thumbs up to you. Thanks very much for allowing us to take these bikes out and give hopefully you'll see a review that you can relate to, a review from some people that just want to ride bikes and talk about them.